Hi, I'm Carla Schaefer, Auntie's Beads designer, and I'm going to demonstrate how to use Elastoma, which is an elastic that can be crimped. I'm going to go over the list of tools and supplies needed for this project. I'm just going to use an assortment of check glass beads, and I'm just going to be making an elastic bracelet. But the great thing about it, as I said, was that you can crimp it. So this is Elastoma, and it is strong enough to be crimped, so I will be using a 2x2 crimp with this, and so I'm also going to be using the Magical Crimp Forming Tool, and you will also need a nipper tool. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to demonstrate how to crimp this before we put the beads on here. And I wasn't kidding about spilling beads, because I'll tell you, until I really got used to this, that I did drop the bracelet multiple times and beads went flying everywhere. So it does take some practice and some finesse. What I've done is I just cut a piece of the elastoma, and I'm just going to demonstrate this first. So I'm going to put the crimp bead over the elastoma, and then the key is, because this is thick, is to wrap it, to stretch it around your fingers. It's almost like you're cutting your circulation off. And then what we're going to do is we're going to run the other end through the crimp bead. It is somewhat easier said than done. And if you don't have it stretched enough, it's not going to go through. Okay, now once you get it to go through like this, and sometimes you may have to reposition a couple of times. I did have to reposition it myself. So once I've got it through there, then all I'm going to do now is take my Magical Crimp Forming Tool, and just as we were crimping regular beading wire, you make the first initial crimp, which makes it look like a little ravioli where all four corners are squished, and then you place it again back in the jaws and just rotate around until we get this to be a small round bead. Now we've got it crimped. Now the first thing I'm going to tell you to do, usually when we do an elastic bracelet, we're going to do 7 inches of beads, and generally when I'm tying a knot, I cut 10 inches of the elastoma. But since I'm going to be crimping it and I have to have that little bit extra to stretch around, I'm going to go ahead and suggest cutting 12 inches. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to string on this pattern of the check glass beads for this bracelet, and then I will demonstrate how to crimp it with the beads. It is a little more difficult, but it does have such a nice clean look on it when it's done. Okay, now that I have my beads strung in the pattern that I want, and I've got the crimp beads strung on here, so this is the fun part. You need to secure this end until you're ready to work with it, so just hang on to it. And then again, we want to take this end of the elastic, wrap it around our fingers so we get it nice and tight, stretched, and then we're going to take this end, run it through the crimp bead. And again, if you're feeling some resistance here, you probably don't have it stretched high enough, which I don't. So again, stretch it nice and tight. Till you see the end coming through. And if you want, you can have your plier or tweezers ready to grab that end. But I did successfully get it. And all you do is you pull it. You don't want it tight, you just want it kind of taut. Now that I've got it both through here, then again I'm just going to take my Magical Crimp Forming Tool. I'm going to grab that bead, make the first squish where I get the 4 corners. And then just bring it around until we make this a round bead. You don't have to wait for the glue to dry or anything on this. That's what's so nice about it. And depending on your beads, sometimes the crimp bead will slip into the bead and you won't see it at all. But if you do see it, it's very minimal. Or you could make it part of your design by spacing little, silver beads in between them. But you really don't see it at all. And there we've got our crimp. And all you would have to do is trim your elastic. You can trim it flush to the crimp bead. And there you go.